Hi, my name is Shawn Estep. I'm an estate planning and elder law attorney. We are in Chesterfield, Missouri. We help families and individuals protect themselves and their loved ones personally and financially through custom trust-based planning. One of the things I enjoy doing when I'm not practicing law is feeding my wife and family. And what I'd like to do today, and this is going to be a series which starts today, this is the first podcast, is talk a little bit about some simple recipes I do. The first one today is going to be Chardonnay Chicken. I've done this one for my wife ever since she decided to send me to the store to get some chicken, and I didn't want to just do plain chicken. I wanted to add some things that I liked. And of course, I like white wine, Chardonnay. I like white wine sauces. I like mushrooms. I like capers. So I pulled all of those things together and created this Chardonnay chicken dish. So it's really just something that I kind of have come to put together and have just had some fun doing. So the easiest thing to do is just to get started and talk about what the ingredients are. The primary ingredient is going to be chicken. What I like to do generally is grill it. What I'll do is I'll start the capers and mushrooms and then grill the chicken and start reducing the wine. Because we don't have a grill, I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time. I'm going to have a one pot for the chicken and for the wine reduction and the wine sauce, and another for the mushrooms and the capers. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the mushrooms and capers because I want to go ahead and get those reduced. So off I go, and we'll get back with you when we start the chicken. I always like to use a little bit of olive oil, just coat the pan a little bit at the bottom. Go ahead and get the fire started. As with any good meal, you start with the fire, a good hot one. So I'm using just white mushrooms. These are right off the shelf at the supermarket. I'm going to use minced garlic, which is in a tube. I know that's cheating, but I like cheating. It's okay, especially when it comes to food. And then just capers. So let's go ahead and get this heated up. I'm going to throw a little bit of butter in there because, as my wife says, everything is better with butter. So this will add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of salt, and just kind of make the whole thing kind of feel a little bit better and taste a little bit better. And what I'd like you to do is, if you like my recipes, go ahead and use those. But if you want me to try yours, please share those with me. Let me know what you like about my recipe, what you'd like to change. Tell me what you like about your recipes, where you haven't had a challenge in terms of trying to try something different. Let me know what you'd like to do. That's kind of what this is about. It's just being fun. What I'd like to do is just have some food, some fun, family members, friends, and just pull all this together. And the way this is going to work is I'll have a cooking show once a month, and then we're going to have another show that's going to be visiting someplace like a winery or maybe a restaurant or maybe a small business where they are in food production or food processing. So I just want to make sure that we really just kind of cover the bases. What I'd also like to do is thank Slyman Brothers for allowing us to use their Baldwin kitchen. This is wonderful. Trying to figure out how I could fit one of these into my house. Unfortunately, my house is about the same size as their kitchen, so it might be kind of difficult. So I've got the mushrooms started. Now I'm going to put a little bit of the capers in here. And what you'll hear me say is everything should be to your taste. I kind of like capers, so I put a little bit in there, actually quite a bit. You're not going to hear a lot of tablespoon of this, teaspoon of that. It's just going to be to your taste, whatever you like, because everybody likes a little bit different stuff. So here we go with the garlic again. I'm just going to squirt in about as much as I want, which probably is about 2 garlic cloves worth, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. We'll see how it comes out. But generally speaking, all the flavors tend to combine and just turn into a really lovely flavor. So the next thing I'm going to do is start with the chicken. And what I want to do is I want to get the chicken so it's browned. Again, generally I would just do this on the grill. Unfortunately, we don't have a grill here, but we're going to do the best we can with this. This is an experiment like everything else. Whenever you're cooking, if things aren't looking right or you don't have all the right ingredients, go ahead and try something different. Try and add something. Just do it differently like I'm doing today. I'm going to go grab the chicken and be right back. The chicken I'm using is just like normal small chicken, not the ones that look like a turkey breast. And what I do is I will actually pound them down to where they're about 1/4 of an inch thick, maybe a little bit thicker if you don't want to get too far into the chicken. So that's generally what I try to do, is get that chicken pounded down a little bit. And it does two things. First of all, it makes it so that the chicken gets done at the same time all over. And number two, it takes less time for the chicken to get done. So I like things to go a little bit quicker. What we're going to do is we're going to put salt and pepper on it. That's all I do as far as seasoning for the chicken. So just a little bit of ground pepper and a little bit of salt. I'm going to use some Celtic sea salt. It's nice. It works really well for cooking. And there you go. So that's one side, and I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing to the other side. A little bit of pepper. And a little bit of salt. And now, we're just going to put this on that fire. Just like any other kind of meat, just put that on the flames and get that cooking. It actually looks like I've got enough room for the second piece, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat down just a little bit and prepare that second piece of chicken. Again, my thought process here is I'm going to share recipes I have. So the next recipe I'm going to try to share with you is going to be a pork belly burnt end. And we're going to do that one off-site. Actually, everything's off-site because it's not at my house. We're going to actually do that, I think, out in Pacific at a nice little lovely place called the Landing Hub. We're going to take basically 3-4 hours to create these wonderful pork belly burnt ends. There's going to be, we'll use a little bit of bourbon as part of the show and talk about what the people that we have visiting us do, what their favorite things are in terms of cooking and grilling. And as I said, it's going to be a little bit longer show. We're going to get to know a lot of people during the show and just have a really good time. And that will probably be filmed in June, and we'll probably go ahead and release that in July. I'm thinking we probably have about 30 days or so between each episode. So let's get that oil over on the other side. And then we'll put our other chicken straight down, okay? Let's check and see how this one's doing. Okay, it's starting to get good and white. So it's going to be a little bit ahead of the other one, but I'm not too concerned about that. But I do want to turn the heat up a little bit so it does start browning. All right, let's see how our friends, the mushrooms, are doing. They look pretty good. I think I'll grab a little spoon and see if we can give this a little bit of a stir. Maybe we should go up a little higher, start getting that to cook. So that's the other thing to think about. As you're going through this process, you can kind of adjust your heat as you need to. Right now I've got this probably on about medium. You want it to get boiling so that it reduces the mushrooms and gets the garlic and capers sort of cooking into the mushrooms, because the mushrooms will pick up some of that flavor. And that's kind of what we want as we go through this process. So that's all we got for cooking right now. We've got everything sort of doing its thing, starting to like each other and get to know each other and cook a little bit. What I'd like to do then is just talk a little bit about what I do professionally. I'm an estate planning attorney. I also practice in the areas of elder law and probate trust administration. And what that means to me is I like to meet with people, get to know them, teach them what we can do for them in terms of estate planning, but more importantly, learn about them. And I think that's part of the process here with my cooking show, is to get to know the people that I'm going to have on as guests, know them, find out what they do, who they are. And that's, again, what we do. We get to know who the people are. What are the things that they're looking for? What kind of instructions do they want to leave with trusted family members or the trusted people, so that if something happens and they can't manage their property themselves or their own health care, that they have somebody that has instructions on what they want to have done. Okay, it's not just about the documents. Because in my office, we treat the documents just as a tool. They're your tool, again, to explain to trusted people what you want done. And it's that simple. Trusts are just a document that you create yourself. You give people instructions, they follow them, hopefully. On the other hand, if you talk about wills are actually a creature of state law. Basically, what happens is our state legislature tells us what we can and can't do with wills. Now, can we do some of the same things with wills that we do with trusts? Absolutely. We can actually create trusts within a will. It still has to go through probate, but we can do that. We can create trusts. It's called a testamentary trust. Okay? It's not good during your lifetime. Wills only work if you pass away. So you have to have them admitted to the probate court in Missouri within 12 months of your passing, or that wonderful document that you spent time and money on isn't going to help your family at all. So you need to make sure you understand that. The second thing you have to understand is it doesn't work during your lifetime during incapacity. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have powers of attorney for finance so that your financial helpers, your financial decision makers, can decide what to do with your finances, the things that are not owned by a trust, if you have a trust. So those are going to be things like retirement accounts. There are going to be cars. I don't like cars in trust. And other things that just don't make sense. They're also going to be able to make financial decisions that are not necessarily related to property. They're also going to be able to make personal, non-healthcare decisions, like take me to the ball game or take me to see the Blues. So our goal is to, again, have those financial decision makers have a list of things that they can manage as necessary. There's also going to need to be access to protected healthcare information. That's what a HIPAA release is for. And so we'll have a HIPAA release associated with that set of documents you get, whether it's will-based plan or trust-based plan. We're going to want to go ahead and have that available to you. And then in addition to the HIPAA release, we're going to have a healthcare power of attorney. That healthcare power of attorney is going to allow you to, or allow your decision makers to decide what medications and treatments you might get, who your caregivers are going to be, who the physicians are going to be that were going to treat you, where you're going to go to the hospital if you need to, or what nursing home you go to. So those are all things that those decision makers are going to be able to make decisions about for your health care. And the last thing is going to be the declaration, which is the same thing as a living will. It says I'm connected to artificial life support. Please remove that artificial life support and allow me to die naturally. And this is only if you can't make the decision yourself. And the next one is going to be a medical directive. It says there are certain treatments and procedures that you want withdrawn or withheld. If again, it's not making a difference in your life, not making a difference in your prognosis and not making you more comfortable. So those are all kind of the tools we use to give instructions to our trusted persons, the trusted decision makers. Again, that can be family members, it can be friends, and some decision makers might be corporate decision makers, like a trust company or a bank. So those are all things to think about when you're thinking about what is an estate plan. An estate plan is, again, just a set of instructions that tell trusted decision makers what to do if you can't do the things you need to. All right, it looks like our mushrooms are just about done. I think our chicken is just a little bit behind that. Let me turn this up just a little bit. Let's see where we're at temperature-wise. Okay, we're pretty close. You want these things up at 165 or higher. At least that's what they tell us on TV, right? So that's going to kill all the salmonella, any other nasty things that are inside of that chicken or on the outside. So we'll give those a few more minutes. They didn't brown a lot. I'm not particularly disappointed about that. I'm not really trying to get a brown at the bottom like you sometimes do with some sauces. Generally speaking, with my sauce, with the Chardonnay chicken, it doesn't have anything like that. So for now, we're just going to let these get warm enough. Then I'm going to set them aside. We're going to finish up these mushrooms, and I'm going to start reducing the wine a little bit. Okay? Speaking of wine, generally speaking, I like a little bit of cooking wine. to go along with what I'm doing as I cook. And also it kind of wets my whistle, so when I'm speaking, you can understand what I'm saying. Here we go. Let's take a look at the chicken again, see where we're at. I think we're doing pretty well. Yep, that one's pretty close. This is a really awesome stove. It just kind of cooks away. That's what I like about gas. It gives you the ability to kind of adjust your temperatures a little bit better, I think, than electric does, than electric stovetop does. Yeah, that's looking really good. And again, the reason we want to cook these mushrooms down a little bit is to get some of the moisture out of it, because moisture in this dish makes it harder to thicken it. And one of the things we want to do is we want to thicken this towards the end. Once we put the sauce together, just before we put the chicken in, we want it to get a little bit thick and something that can stick to the chicken. What I would normally do is I would also grill some asparagus. So that would be grilling out on the back, and then we put the asparagus on top of this along with some Swiss cheese and the sauce, and it just is a wonderful thing along with that little glass of wine that we're going to have. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set the mushrooms aside. It looks like they're pretty done. And then I'm going to come over and take one more look at the chicken. It should be pretty close to done. Yep, it is all done. So let's take that out. As you can see, it really doesn't take very long for this to go. All right, it's pretty well done. And think about it this way. This is not a complicated recipe. This doesn't have, 10 or 15 ingredients. It really just has a few ingredients, things that just kind of make some sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wipe this out. I don't want all this oil in here. What I'd really like to have is a clean pan so that we can go ahead and get the wine started to reduce. I'll be right back. All right, there we go. It's not completely clean, as you can see. There still is a little bit of chicken at the bottom, but that's okay. We'll get that out of there. We'll deglaze this with the wine. And again, you're not going to hear me tell you exactly how much wine there has to be in there because I don't know. Depends on how much I want to drink and who's with me and how much it's going to take to really kind of deglaze this and make a good sauce. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So for sure, cover the bottom and maybe just a little bit more. All right, and then I'm going to use this little spoon to start getting that chicken off the bottom. That's going to add to some of the flavor. The other thing we're trying to do again is reduce the wine. We're going to make it a little bit, a little bit more concentrated, get more of that Chardonnay flavor out of it. And when you're looking for a wine for a Chardonnay, or if you're doing a red sauce, a Cabernet, you want something that you're going to drink, that you're going to enjoy. And you're going to also want something that's, in my mind, I want it to have a little bit more flavor. I like the flavor of the barrel, the oak barrel. I think some people call it buttery. I think it's oaky. It just really tastes good, both in the sauce and also when you're drinking it. Yummy. So again, use a wine that you're going to drink. Because if nothing else comes out right, at least you can drink the wine. So let's go ahead and get this going a little bit faster. And again, you're not trying to boil this, you're just trying to reduce it by about half. So one way to look at that is just to turn the pan up and see where it is, see where the wine ends up on the pan. And then when it gets down to about half of that, then you're done. And then we'll start adding the other ingredients. All right. So one of the ways you can get a hold of me, if you are looking for estate planning, or if you're one of my clients and just want to reconnect with me, is you can go to our website, www.esteplawfirm.com. And then you can find our address there, you can find a phone number, and you can call my paralegal Laura, and she will help you get it connected with us and talk to us about what might be right for you. We have our initial consultations at no additional cost. So we're just there to learn about you and teach you a little bit about what we can do to help you with whatever issues you might have. All right, I think I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. If it starts boiling, that's too much. You just really want it to simmer, and you want to get that steam off of it because you're just trying to get some of the liquid. Okay, so we got a little bit of ways to go here. And it's okay that things are kind of sitting out there because the chicken's going to warm back up when we put it in with the sauce. This is going to warm back up because it's going to be part of the sauce. So we're in pretty good shape. So the next podcast we're going to do is going to be at Chandler Hill Vineyards. We're actually going to go down to the barrel room. I'm going to talk to their sommelier and just have a conversation about what a sommelier is. What do they do? What's their job? And we're going to maybe get a chance to talk to the chef up there. And then we're going to have some friends and family. They're going to come in and we're going to actually have a nice barrel room tasting. That'll be all part of the podcast we do. So you're going to get to see how that barrel room experience works. After that, then we're going to go back upstairs and we're going to sit on the deck and we're going to have a really nice lunch. And again, we're going to talk to the chef. We're going to talk to people around us. We're going to talk to our friends and family and just get to know each other. And that'll be all part of that podcast. So that's going to be our experience side. So we have the cooking side and the experience side. Again, next month, we're probably going to have the pork belly burnt ends as our cooking show. And then I haven't really decided yet. We're going to try and figure out what we're going to do for the experience. So we'll let you all know probably sometime in June once we're pretty close to getting that pork belly burnt end episode up and running. Well, looks like we're about there. We're probably about half the volume we were before for wine. So that means it's got an intense flavor that it really needs to have. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the mushrooms and capers and put them into the bottom of the pan. I'm trying not to get too much of the liquid. That's not necessarily what we want. We really want the solids, not the liquids, because we've got plenty of wine for liquid. We're also going to add some heavy whipping cream. That's what makes this a white sauce. All right, so there we are with that. Now we're going to go grab our heavy whipping cream. At our house, what I don't finish off, what I don't use, my wife Donna turns into whipped creams. And then we put that on, forks, spoons, and just eat it as is. Or sometimes we'll actually put it on maybe some berries or something like that. Well, that's popped a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just pour enough in here that I feel like it's enough. And again, don't ask me for a measurement because I don't do measurements like that. I just put stuff in until it looks the way I want it to. I know it's a little selfish, but I think to me, if you're cooking, you cook for what you like, what your taste is, not what somebody else has put out as the law, right? Law is for lawyers. That's what legislators do. They write things down and say, this is the way you have to do stuff. The beautiful thing I like about cooking is that there are rules, okay? But you can mess with the rules a little bit and make things a little bit better. So again, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put a little bit of pepper in to taste. I don't have a spoon, so I can't really use a spoon to taste it, so I'm going to break all the rules and use my finger. Yum. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take some cornstarch, make a little slurry, and then we're going to put it in here to really just sort of get this a little bit thicker. This is going to be our thickening agent. So I'm going to let this go just a little bit, keep it warm. I'm going to go ahead and get this slurry started. I'll be right back and get back to work on this. All right, we're back with the cornstarch. This is a part that's a little difficult for me because my wife Donna is usually the one that does this. And excuse me for using my finger, but again, I have no spoons today. So hopefully the slurry is where it needs to be. If it's not, it won't work perfectly. But again, This is cooking. Working perfectly is not a thing. Okay, here we go. So just pour a little bit in and stir it. Make sure you've got enough heat that it's going to warm that cornstarch up and get it to start solidifying. And you're going to know it's working if you can pull the spoon through the sauce and it doesn't come back as quickly. So you're looking for it to slow down a little bit. Okay, it's really doing that right now. You can see that it's actually, I guess you can't. Oh, here we go. We do have somebody that's going to help us let you see it. So I'm looking for just being able to scrape that spoon through the sauce and it not come back. So I think that's, for me, that's where I want it. I don't want it a whole lot stiffer than that, especially since we're putting the chicken into the sauce. Okay. Actually, why don't we do it a different way since I've got plates now? What I'm going to do is show you what it looks like when I do it normally. I was just going to put these actually into the pan, but I'm going to just show you how we just pour it over the top. So that's the chicken itself. And again, I like to have a little slice of Swiss cheese on top of that. Just adds a little bit to the flavor. And if this was a normal day, I'd have had some fairly thick asparagus grilling. And then I would just really put that asparagus right on top of the cheese and then pour the sauce right over the top of it. My wife doesn't like the mushrooms as much as I do, so hers would be more sauce and less mushroom. The other thing is that this really warms up well. So my wife will cut these up, put them in a bag along with some sauce, and take that into work the next day and warm it up. Because, as I said, this really warms up nicely as a dish. So I can take this home tonight, and my wife and I are going to have Chardonnay chicken tonight for dinner. If you have any questions about this episode, if you have any questions about the recipe, I'll have all of the ingredients and kind of how I approach it. And that'll be there for you to pick out. It'll be online, probably Facebook, LinkedIn, a number of different places. I just want you to be able to take a look at it. And if you decide to do something different and you want to share it with me, I'd love for you to do that. Again, I'm Shawn Estep with the Estep Law Firm. Plan now for your peace of mind. Thank you for joining me for Chardonnay Chicken. I'm Shawn.
Shawn, Josh.
Josh, I heard that you guys here at Slyman Brothers are having your 60th anniversary.
Yeah, we just celebrated 60 years, so it was a lot of fun. Big kind of party over the weekend and a lot of different events and stuff here, but still lingering sales.
Oh,
so
nice.
stop by.
Well, I love your kitchen. I just got to use it for my Chardonnay chicken recipe, and thank you so much for allowing me to do that.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. We've got gas. I told you next time you're going to have to try the induction.
We'll have to figure out something I can cook that uses induction. So we'll go with that.
All right. But no, thank you. We've had this live for 3 months now. So part of our celebration was kind of grand opening of this side and the other part being the anniversary. So yeah, thank you.
Well, it's nice. So tell me a little bit about your journey here. Tell me about when you started and what you did when you started.
Sure. Yeah, no. So I actually started here. I was 19. I was delivering pizzas. I've known the Slyman family. They needed somebody else to deliver fridges. I'm like, same thing. It's just heavier, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I started then. That was almost 24 years ago. And after about 10 years or so of doing installs, got into sales. After that, they needed somebody to manage one of the locations. So I was honored to be chosen as that. And then about a year ago, we opened a contractor designer division kind of for an outreach in that area. And they asked me to go from managing and to open this whole new space, which has been nerve-wracking, but yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it. I absolutely love the family. I mean, I consider myself part of the family. So.
Well, this is the refrigerators and the stovetops are just amazing. You know, you could build a house around that kitchen. I was joking during the episode that this is such a big area, you could fit my house in it.
Mine too, pretty much.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful setup in here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this whole side of the store is exclusively Wolf and Sub-Zero all the live cooking and just about every product that they make. And then the whole other side, plenty of other vignettes and kitchenettes. And I think we're a total of almost 13,000 square feet here in this showroom. So
that's a pretty good sized showroom.
Yeah, try and show just about everything.
You have kind of a design area back there. Is that what that is?
Yep. So behind this wall is my my area, my office. It's kind of like a lounge, but we have a big conference table in there. So if I'm meeting with a client and a designer and a home builder or whatnot, we can roll out blueprints on the table and get together. Also just a little event space. So if we're hosting anything, kind of a nice area to just kind of sit and relax and listen to music.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a nice vibe back there. Plenty of wine, plenty of whiskey up on the wall. We were
during wine. There's no such thing as plenty of wine. It's
cheers.
Awesome. Cheers.
It's nice. So fun little space there.
Good. So what's kind of the next step? Because I think you have 3 stores now, right?
So we have 4 stores.
4 stores.
We're here in West County, South County on Lindbergh, South City on Hampton, and O'Fallon out on Highway K. And then we have a warehouse about a mile or so down the road from here. And we'll kind of see where the road takes us. We're just looking at slow, steady growth, which is stronger than rapid growth. So who knows? I know we're out delivering to the lake a couple of times a month, so maybe
Lake of the Ozarks.
Yep.
Nice.
So maybe at some point a space near that direction. We're out past Wentzville and Troy and Innsbrook and that kind of area. So maybe at some point stretching out a little bit further, but slow and steady. That's what we're trying to do. So
you're not going to hop everything in the middle and go over to Kansas City?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So
we're all Chiefs fans, right? We can say that out loud.
I think we can say it out loud at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how far we stretch.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah. So what's the lake like? I mean, is there a lot of houses there where this kind of a kitchen would fit?
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, if you're on the lake and you can see a house, it's probably a house that has something like this in it. The builds down there are incredible. There are some absolutely gorgeous homes. And I also like to always point out, because a lot of people see this kind of kitchenette or some of the things whenever you walk in the entranceway and you get to see some really nice things right away. We also do mid-level. We do entry level. I mean, we work with apartments, so we get super basic. We've got the mid-level and we've got all the way up at the top. But yeah, there's some gorgeous homes at the lakes. I like going down and helping on those deliveries just so I can see the homes they're going into.
Fair enough. Yeah. Hey, can I take a little boat ride with you?
Yeah. That's who I want to be friends with, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think so. So is there anything else we should know about Slyman Brothers? Any things you've got coming up? Big specials or sales or anything that we can let everybody know about?
I mean, there are always specials and sales going on, especially around these holidays. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't been in before, I would ask anybody to stop by. I get told a lot. I got this from XYZ box store because it was so cheap. I didn't think that we beat every price in town. If you look up our Google reviews, I believe we're number 1 on Google reviews in St. Louis. So as far as customers experience, the best. Prices, always going to be the best. Selection, we carry more brands than any other store in St. Louis, so you're going to find what you like. I mean, I could sell Slyman all day. We'd have to start another episode for that, though.
We can do that.
Right.
We'll just do a Slyman episode.
Yeah. I'll sit here. I could sit here for an hour and say all the reasons that somebody should come by. So.
Well, we probably could do something like that. Just do a walk around and just show people what you have. Kind of do your showroom.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that today, but maybe just find a day when we just come back and take a look.
I would love to. A little virtual tour would be really cool, I think.
Perfect. Okay. Let's try and plan to do that someday.
I'm available.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
All right,
I appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to borrow your space.
Thank you. No, it looked amazing, and thanks for the wine.
You're welcome.
Cheers.